Okay, let's get right into it. A psychic told me to do it. What's up, y'all? It's your girl L Just Living. Welcome back to my channel. All right, so I left America. Okay, let me tell you the story about the psychic. First of all, I think it was like a year and a half. About a year and a half, I was in Los Angeles for a conference. Myself and another person who was attending this particular conference in LA, we decided to take a day and just kind of go explore because we had never been to that part of Cali. I think at that point, I think that was my first trip to Cali, actually. So of course we went and tried to hit all the hot spots, you know, Inglewood and Hollywood. And we were walking down the Hollywood Boulevard, you know, where they have all the stars, all the, you know, the celebrities get their stars and put it there. We were walking down that boulevard, and you know, they have all the different entertainers along that street. So on that street also was like a little like psychics and tarot card readers and stuff like that. And this lady, I had never done anything like this before. It just kind of always used to spook me out. I'm like, nah, I'll pass on it. I don't want nobody reading my poem. It was a palm reader. She was reading poems. And she was like, ask a question and she will answer that question for you for $5. So my friend at the time, she did it. She was like, come on, do it. I was like, nah, I'm good on that. She's like, come on, I'll pay for you to get it done. I was like, nah. She paid him. I was like, okay, fine. Just a little quick little read. You know, this stuff spooks me out a little bit, you know what I'm saying? So she read my poem, and what she said was, she told me a whole lot of stuff that I may have to share in another video. She told me a whole lot of stuff about the guy I was dating at the time. She was on point with what she was saying about him. And by the way, this is when I was living in Atlanta. Before I moved to the UAE, I actually lived in Atlanta for 6 years before, well, after leaving Mississippi. From Mississippi to Georgia, Georgia to the UAE. But yeah, so she was on point with what she was saying about old boy. All day. I should have listened. But I stuck around a little bit too long. Anyways, she also told me some other stuff about, just some other stuff. But one thing that she told me about that I did not ask about, well, I didn't ask about the boyfriend either. She brought that up on her own. But anyways, she brought everything up on her own. I asked her one question about motherhood. She gave me an answer, and we'll talk about that later. She read my poem, and she said she sees a lot of traveling in my future. She said, you're going to get a new job, and this job is going to lead to a lot of traveling all over the world. And I was like, that's interesting. And so went on with my life. A year passed? I think a year passed, and I was working in a school, and the principal at the school was like, hey, look, it may not have been a year. It may have been like 6 months, or even the same. No, it had to be almost a year later. The principal at that school was like, listen, you're young, you don't have a husband, you don't have any children. I heard about, you know, these different job opportunities they have available overseas in Abu Dhabi. She was like, you should apply. I think it'll be a great experience for you. And I was like, I don't know. You know, people look outside of me. They see my lifestyle and they think that I'm bold and brave, but to me, I'm not. So, I mean, I guess it's perception. And I don't know. To me, I'm not that bold and brave. But to other people, a lot of moves I've made in my life have been bold and brave. And so I was scared. Your girl was scared. I was like, but I applied. Even though I was scared, I went ahead and applied. I was like, she's right. And I was really getting burnt out. I was really getting burnt out on the job. So I applied, and I actually got a call maybe a couple of weeks before the next school year started. And they were like, hey, we're looking for someone to come over for this particular company. Would you be interested? And y'all, I turned it down. I turned it down. Started a new school year with a different job. After the school year started, it was a lot of the same stuff going on. I was burnt out. I was just burning myself out, and I just needed a change. I needed something different. And if you work in a school system back in the US, then you know what I mean. You know that burnout feeling, being an educator these days. And I was really feeling burnt out. So the holiday season was approaching, and I saw that they were hiring again. Guess what? They were actually recruiting in Atlanta. So I went ahead and got my application was already there from the previous year that I applied. So like my references, you have to have references to even apply on the particular company website that I was on. So my references and everything from my previous school year, my old principals and VPs and all that, it was still there. I had references from not only the people at the job I was working, but from just different places, where where you get your good references from. Who's gonna give you a good reference. Anyways, so all of that was already there. So I just had to apply again. So my application was already there. I went ahead and applied again. I added in I didn't see the people creeping up. They're probably going crazy talking to my camera. But anyways, I did add another reference. I added one more reference at the school that I was working at that I had transferred to. I did add one more reference. Just haven't updated. You want to keep your references updated. And I applied again, and they called me for an interview in Atlanta. This was before, I want to say it was before Christmas, but after Thanksgiving of that year of 2016. Yes, it was before Christmas. I went down, I applied. I want to say a couple of weeks later, I got my first interview for the job overseas. And then the job offer came shortly thereafter. Insert correction here. When I applied for the job, I had two phone interviews before they came to Atlanta. So when they came to Atlanta, I had already had the 2 phone interviews, and this was the final interview in Atlanta right before Christmas, but after Thanksgiving. Yeah. And 2 weeks after the interview, I got the job offer. Yeah. So by January, February, I had the job offer, and I was really just waiting on my visa and my plane ticket to ship me overseas. But I was still doubting. I wasn't sure. I was still afraid. We're talking about uprooting my whole life and moving to a whole another country by myself. No family, no friends, no nothing. So it was scary. So I contemplated on it. I thought about it for months until the last minute, right until the last opportunity for me to back out of my contract for the next school year. That's how long and hard I was thinking about it. And it could be too because I'm a Gemini. We can be a little bit indecisive, but that's a big deal. And I was really nervous about it. I really did. I was just nervous. I liked the people that I was working with, but at the same time, I was burnt out of the career. I needed a change for my psyche. My mind needed a break. And so I was like, let's try something new, do something different. And probably a week before, or the last week of that particular school year, is when I finally made my decision. It was like, look, I think I'm gonna go this time. Just go ahead and do it. And I did. I informed my supervisor and did everything I needed to do. And I was like, okay, there's no backing out now, girl, because you ain't got no job. You just resigned from your job, girl. Go. And shoot. That was it. The whole summer I was freaking out. I'm like, what if they don't send me the plane ticket? What if this isn't real? And I want to say it had to be August. So the whole summer I'm packing up, getting rid of stuff, trying to spend time. Mind you, I had already applied everything the summer before. So I was saving up. It was in the back of my mind. So once I realized that I was definitely going to go, I started saving up my money because I was doing research. They say, girl, save your money, bring at least $5,000 with you, which was no problem. Cool. In case you have to book a flight back home, if you have to find a hotel somewhere for a little while, whatever, just have you some extra money. So I have been saving for at least 6 months to a year because I knew that this was a possibility. And just doing some research about, the culture and all that kind of stuff. Packing, like I said, hanging out with friends, trying to see as much friends and family as I possibly could before it was time for me to go. And then one day I got an email that said, hey, your flight is next week. Yes, that's how they operate. Your flight is next week. Here's your plane ticket. Let's go. Some people were getting emails that were saying their flight was the next day. And I was like, huh? So this was the end of July, and they told me your flight is next week. Yes, it was the end of July because this was the week that I went back to my old school, turning computers and stuff like that. And this was the week that the teachers had returned, but the students had not. So the week that the teachers come back, and then the students was first day was like that last day or something like that. So I went back up to the school, see everyone and all that kind of stuff. So there was like a week later, your flight's next week. Here's your visa. Here's your flight information. Let's go. I packed up the little bit of stuff I had left in Atlanta, like clothes and stuff and my books and stuff like that. Drove to Mississippi with a U-Haul, dropped it off in my old bedroom at my mom's house in Mississippi, y'all, down there in the country, Prentice, Mississippi. And all this stuff is still all over my bedroom right now. Child, my mom be talking about I need a storage room. Gee. But yeah. So I dropped everything off there, said my goodbyes to all my family there in Mississippi, headed back to Atlanta, and got ready to leave. So August 4th, I left Atlanta, Georgia. August 6th, I was landing in Abu Dhabi, UAE. Yeah, getting ready to start a new career, not realizing that it was going to lead to so much traveling. And the reason that it has led to so much traveling is that the UAE is like the center of everything. It's like a travel hub. So many layovers, so many people here, and countries are very, very nearby. So it's nothing to get on a flight and be in another country in 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 or 5, 6 hours versus flying from America, which will take you a whole day or at least half a day from America, because America seems to be quite isolated to a lot of the to most of the world. And so yeah, so everything here is so close. So it's nothing, like I said, to get on a flight on a Thursday after work, go to a nearby country, be there in 3 hours, and then come back before work on Sunday, before you have to be at work on Sunday. There's nothing to it. And then we have our breaks, of course. You have your winter break, or what we call our Christmas break back home. You have your spring break. You have just different, religious holiday breaks throughout the year. So my first couple of years here, up until the pandemic, every single break I was gone, and sometimes without a break. Like I said, over the weekend trips, I'm gone somewhere. So I think I had 2 passport stamps when I left America. Now my book is filled. My first passport stamp was Mexico, but now my book is filled and I have to go renew, even though it's not due for renewal for another 5 years. Yeah, so I got my first passport 2016, and that joker is filled up now. So that's my story. That's how and why I left the US. Will I return? Will I return? Well, that's a whole nother story. All right, so that's it, guys. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. As always, it's your girl L Just Living. Love you bunches. Bye.